Good evening. Welcome, or good day. Welcome to day 27 of the International Great Black Read Aloud Day. My name is LD Robinson, and we have been reading all month from different types of genres and topics in Black literature, and we've been giving voice to words written by Black people around the world. And today is Detective and Mystery Day, and our selection for today is A Person of Interest by author Ernest Hill. And if you don't know what we're doing here at International Great Black Read Aloud Day, we invite you to go right down there to www.greatblackreadaloudday.org and join us in the fun, look at our selections, subscribe to the page, and stay tuned for other days throughout the year when we will be reading aloud. And so again, our selection for today for Detective and Mystery is A Person of Interest by Ernest Hill. And we will be reading from chapter 32. There were two of them in the cell with me. I did not know either of them, nor could I see them, but they were there. I could feel them, lying motionless on the bed, staring at me, taunting me, calling to me as if from some distant plane. And I wanted them to leave, and I told them so, but they refused. And I rose to challenge them, to make them flee my presence. And when I did, I felt something come over me, a compulsion, which I had not known before. And at that precise moment, I yelled for them to show themselves, but again, they refused. And my smoldering temper flared. And I raced to the bed and grabbed the mattress and slung it across the room. And I grabbed the chair on which the other one sat, and I flung it into the wall. And I heard the inmate in the next cell yell, "What's going on over there?" But I ignored him, and I swung hard into the open air, trying to hit that which I could not see. And I yelled at them again, beseeching them to show themselves. And they laughed. And I knew that they were demons, haunting me for deeds done in my sordid past. And I fell into the wall and cried, longing to be free of them and the burdens of my mind which I could no longer bear. But they did not leave, nor did they accept my pleas for silence. And I backed against the wall and slowly slid to the floor. And I raised my knees to my chest and lowered my head. And I clasped my hands behind my neck, then prayed to God, asking him to forgive me for all that I had done and pleading with him to make the demons flee. And while I was praying, an officer approached my cell. I did not look at him, but I heard the keys in the lock and I heard the door swing open. And I wanted to leap to my feet and flee the cell and put distance between myself and the demons. But I held firm, knowing that my efforts would be in vain. I was rocking back and forth when I heard the officer ask what was wrong with me. I did not answer, but the demons answered for me. "He's crazy," I heard one of them say. And they began to laugh again, and their laughter became louder. And I clutched my ears and screamed at them to stop. And I kept screaming and I kept rocking, and I felt the officer's hand on my shoulder snatching me to my feet. And I felt him slam me into the wall, and I heard him say, "Pipe down, Jackson." And suddenly the demons obeyed him, and they became quiet. And I opened my eyes, and though I still could not see them, I felt them still lurking about, waiting for the moment when they would again torment me. "What's wrong with you?" the officer shouted. I remained quiet, my eyes wide, looking about for the demons that I was sure were looking out at me. "Stand up," he said. "Your lawyer is here." I rose to my feet and faced him. "Stretch out your hands." I extended my hands and he cuffed them. "Now face the wall," he said. I faced the wall and he shackled my feet. And when he was done, he led me from the cell and I walked, zombie-like, back to the visitation room. My aunt was there and Felicia was there. And so was a strange white man whom I had never seen. And they were also there. They had followed me from the cell, and they were now lingering in the room, keeping their distance, leering at me as I sat chained to the table with my head bowed down. "Luther," she said, "this is your lawyer, Mr. Lawson. He's going to explain what's going to happen. Ain't that right, Mr. Lawson?" In a daze, I raised my head and tried to focus on the tall white man standing before me, but my weary mind continued to wander. My roused spirit could sense that they had followed me here, and I was afraid that they would once again mock me, and in so doing, the urge to rise and fight them would surge again. I clenched my fists in eager anticipation of the battle lurking ominously near me. That's right, I heard the stranger say. He paused dramatically, and I sat there feeling frightened and foolish and ready as I looked about wide eyed for those who most certainly were hiding themselves in plain view. Then I heard the lawyer's voice again, sounding strong, refined, distinguished. Starting tomorrow, he said, things will begin to move rather quickly, but do not be alarmed. It's just the process. It's cold and it's sterile and it can be intimidating. Tomorrow, tomorrow, the demons said, emerging from their slumber, and I heard them laughing, loudly, intensely, ominously. I closed my eyes and raised my hands to my temples, trying to concentrate. The attorney paused, and though my head was bowed, I could tell he was looking at me. Are you okay? He asked. I nodded, and I could feel myself slowly rocking back and forth, pulling gently against the thin chains binding me to the table. I heard my aunt rise and walk toward me. And then I felt her comforting arms about my shoulders, challenging me to hold it together and listen to this man whose paid duty it was to save my life and free me from the cage in which I currently lived. I raised my head and the lawyer continued. In the morning, he intoned cautiously, then paused, letting his skillful voice wave gently through the tense atmosphere that my strange behavior had caused. We will go into court, and the charges against you will be formally read into the record. At that time, you will enter a plea. Do you understand? Yes, sir, I said. He paused again, and when he was certain that I truly understood, he resumed, methodically explaining the process. Now, after you enter your plea, I will begin to push the court to set a date for your preliminary hearing. According to the law, you are entitled to a preliminary hearing within 10 days of your arraignment. I will attempt to schedule a date within the next couple of days. That way, we can force the prosecutor to reveal his hand long before he's ready. Do you follow me? Yes, sir, I forced myself to say again. What about bail? My aunt asked. I'm going to request bail, he said, and I'm also going to petition the court to have the case thrown out completely, but neither will happen. How can you be so sure? My aunt asked. Ma'am, your nephew has been charged with a capital crime, he said, and he is presumed to be both a flight risk and a danger to society. The court is not going to grant bail. No court would. So he's going to have to stay in here until this is over? I'm afraid so, he said. And there's nothing we can do? No, he said, nothing at all. My lord, she said, then closed her eyes and lowered her head, and I knew she wanted to cry. I saw Mr. Lawson look at her, and for a moment I thought he was going to say something else to her. But at the last minute, he seemed to change his mind. He turned and began speaking to me again. Now, Mr. Jackson, he said, his dignified voice suddenly becoming hard and intimidating. You gave the police a statement shortly after the murder, correct? Yes, sir, I said. And in that statement, you answered specific questions concerning the night of the murder, correct? Yes, sir. Well, I certainly wish you had not done that, he said. I didn't know, I said. Well, I read your statement, and there are some things in it that are extremely harmful to this case. He paused and shook his head. Then he looked at me. I sure as hell wish you hadn't spoken to the police without a lawyer, he said again. I just didn't know, I repeated myself. Did they Mirandize you prior to questioning you? I frowned. Mirandize, I said? Did they read you your rights? No, sir, I said. Are you sure? I nodded again. Well, based on that omission, I will challenge the admissibility of that statement in court, he said, and hope to get it thrown out. What are the chances, my aunt asked. Slim to none, he said. But they didn't read him his rights. Yeah, he said, that's correct. But more than likely, the court will rule that Mr. Jackson was a witness at that point and not a suspect. Witnesses do not have to be Mirandized. My lord, she said. I saw Mr. Lawson put on his glasses and remove a document from his briefcase. He examined the document a moment, then looked at me. Now, Mr. Jackson, I have gone over some of the facts as you stipulated them in your statement. After careful deliberation, I have drawn several definitive conclusions about you. The most disturbing is which that you, sir, are a liar. Now, wait just 1 minute, my aunt said, but he ignored her. Where were you the night of the murder? He snapped. At the hotel. What hotel? In Cedar Lake, I said. All night, he asked. That's right, I said. You're lying. Now, wait a minute, Daphne snapped again. If he said he was at the hotel, then he was at the hotel. He don't lie. I raised him better than that. He don't, Mr. Lawson said, and as he spoke to her, he continued to look at me. But I didn't look at him. I looked beyond him. No, sir, she said, he don't. And if you don't believe that, then maybe we got the wrong lawyer. So he's an honest person. Yes, sir, he is. And you'll vouch for that. That's right. Well, he said, maybe I do owe him an apology. Ain't no maybe to it. All right, he said, but before I apologize, I would like to introduce you to someone. He went to the door and knocked. The guard opened the door and a young black man walked in. He was 31 or 32, and he was wearing a polo shirt, a pair of khaki pants, and loafers. This is Johnny, he said, Detective Johnny Ray Gray. I took the liberty of hiring him a few days ago. He will be assisting me on this case. Pleased to meet you all, Mr. Gray said. Daphne and Felicia spoke. I did not. Aren't you going to speak, Mr. Jackson? Mr. Lawson asked, and in his voice was a tone warning me to keep quiet. Luther, my aunt said sternly. Speak to the man. And when she did, I nodded at Mr. Gray. He nodded back. Mr. Jackson, the lawyer spoke to me again. Do you think I owe you an apology? I didn't answer. I'll assume that means no, he said. Is that what it means, Mr. Jackson? Is my assumption correct? I thought you were his lawyer, Daphne said. Why are you harassing him? Why aren't you trying to help him? He didn't answer. Instead, he continued staring at me. You're a liar, Mr. Jackson, he said, aren't you? No, sir, I said, I'm not. Okay, my aunt said, that's it. I want you to leave. He didn't leave. Instead, he turned to the detective. Johnny Ray. Yes, sir. Was Mr. Jackson at the hotel the night of the murder? No, sir, he said. He wasn't. What is this? Daphne said. Are you working for us or are you working for Benjamin Wilcox? Where was he? Natchez, Mississippi, he said. Now, wait a minute, Daphne screamed. Mr. Gray, are you sure? I'm positive, sir, he said. Positive. Yes, sir, he said. What is this? She was looking at the lawyer, but he continued as if he had not heard her. If you don't mind, he said to Johnny Ray, could you please tell me how you were able to determine his whereabouts? I pulled his cell phone records. His cell phone records? Yes, sir. Did he make a call that night? No, sir. Johnny Ray said. He did not. Does he have to make a call in order to be tracked? No, sir, he said. Can you explain that? Well, as long as he has the phone on him and it is turned on, the towers will track his movements. Well, I'll be, he said. Then he looked at me. Mr. Jackson, did you know that? I didn't answer. No, he said, you didn't know it. And there are a lot of other things you don't know. But let me tell you what I know. I know that you're a liar. And I know that you are in a hell of a lot of trouble. And I know that if you don't start telling me the truth, you will be convicted and you will be executed. We have read chapter 32 from A Person of Interest here on day 27. A Person of Interest by Ernest Hill, day 27 of the International Great Black Read Aloud Day. We hope that you will join us. If you have a favorite mystery or favorite detective story that you like to share, it's not too late. It's still daylight some places, and you can join us and read aloud. It is the International Great Black Read Aloud Day. Today is day 27, and tomorrow is day 28. We have been doing this for 27 days, and we'll be back tomorrow for our final day this month, and that is travel. If you have something you like to share with us written by someone Black concerning travel, doesn't matter where they are, from where they are within the world, we invite you to share with us by reading aloud. We'll see you back tomorrow. Remember to subscribe to our website so that you can stay abreast of when we will have future days. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, where all of our videos are posted, and everyone who's participated, their videos are there. And we want you to continue to help spread the good word about literacy. We will see you tomorrow on day 28. You have been listening to the International Great Black Read Aloud Day. Good night or good day.